3 shots. Not warning shots. Not a mistake. 3 deliberate pulls of the trigger on a rain-soaked road before sunrise, the kind of road where nobody's supposed to be watching and nobody's supposed to remember. In that moment, the 2 men holding the guns were absolutely sure of one thing. This would disappear. I would disappear, and they would go on with their lives like nothing ever happened. Funny thing is that certainty they had, that was the last moment they ever truly felt powerful. Let me back up a little, because stories like this never start with the gunshots. They start way earlier with the quiet assumptions people make about you. The way they look at you and decide in half a second how much respect you deserve. I'd lived with that my whole life. I was a woman who didn't fit the picture people had in their heads. Too calm when I should be emotional too. Confident when I should be grateful, too successful to be harmless, too quiet to be threatening. You know what I mean? You learn early that being underestimated isn't an accident. It's a habit people have. That morning, I was driving to work before the city fully woke up. Rain was coming down hard, the kind that blurs the world into gray streaks and reflections. I remember thinking how peaceful it felt, how rare it was to have a few minutes alone with my thoughts. Big mistake. Red and blue lights exploded in my rearview mirror, bright enough to cut through the rain like knives. I checked my speed without even thinking. I was under the limit. Everything was clean. I pulled over anyway, slow and careful, because that's what you do when you've spent your whole life learning how fragile normal can be. 2 officers stepped out of the patrol car. No rain gear, no rush. Just that swagger people get when they think they're untouchable. One of them was older, heavier face already twisted into annoyance. The other was younger, twitchy eyes darting everywhere like he was hoping something would go wrong. The older one walked up and barked license and registration like he was talking to a broken vending machine. No greeting, no reason given. I asked why I'd been stopped. He slammed his hand on the roof of my car, hard. The sound echoed inside my chest more than my ears. That's when something inside me shifted. Not fear, exactly. Awareness. I told them calmly where my hands were, what I was reaching for. I'd said those words before in my life more times than I can count. The younger officer moved to the passenger side, hand resting way too close to his gun. The older one yanked on my door handle. It was locked. He screamed for me to get out. I told him my name. My job told him he could run my plates and see everything. He laughed. A short, ugly sound. I don't care who you say you are. They pulled me out into the rain. Cold soaked through my clothes in seconds. I kept my hands up, palms open. The younger one yelled that I was reaching for something. I wasn't. I turned my head just enough to look at the older officer's face. That's when I saw it. Not fear, not confusion. Enjoyment. That look said you're alone and you know it. Wrong place, wrong time, he whispered like he was sharing a joke. The first shot shattered my back window. The second burned across my shoulder like fire. The third grazed my head close enough to feel heat before pain. I went down into the mud hard. Water rushed into my mouth, my nose. For a second, I thought, this is it. Then instinct took over. I didn't scream. I didn't move. I went still. So still I could barely feel my own breathing. I heard them talking. Complaining, really. About paperwork. About how long an ambulance would take. About how nobody would believe me anyway. One of them said I was done. The other laughed, nervous and high-pitched. They walked back to their car. Doors slammed. Engine idled. And that's when I opened my eyes. Pain has layers. There's the sharp pain that makes you want to scream, and then there's the deeper one that forces you to focus because screaming would end you. I crawled, inch by inch. My suit was ruined, soaked in mud and blood hair plastered to my face. I got back into my car low and slow, using the vehicle as cover. I didn't grab my phone. I knew they were watching. I grabbed the emergency kit I always kept under the seat. Habit. Learned long before that morning. I wrapped my shoulder-tight hands, shaking but steady enough. Checked my head. A graze. Lots of blood, but not fatal. I watched the clock on the dash. Time mattered now. I put the car in neutral and let it roll silent down the slight slope of the road, rain masking everything. Once I was far enough, I started the engine and drove. Not to the hospital, not home. Straight to where the truth could no longer be ignored. Those officers thought they'd get ahead of the story. They filed their reports, joked with coworkers, walked into court that morning like kings. They expected an easy day. What they didn't expect was me. When I walked into that courtroom wearing borrowed clothes under my robe, blood still seeping through the bandage at my temple, the room went silent. The younger officer turned white. The older one just stared like his brain refused to accept reality. I didn't slam the gavel. I didn't raise my voice. I let the silence stretch until it hurt. Then I spoke. Calm, controlled. I asked them questions, simple ones, where they'd been, who they'd stopped, why their timeline didn't make sense. They lied. Of course they did. That's what they were used to. That's when I played the recording. My car had captured everything. Their voices, the shots, the laughter, the part where they talked about letting me bleed out. You could feel the air leave the room as it played. One of them broke down crying. The other tried to stand up to shout to leave. He even reached for his weapon. Big mistake. That was the moment the illusion shattered completely. The trial that followed dragged on for months. They tried everything. They painted me as aggressive and titled unstable. They said the video was misleading. That fear made them act. When I took the stand, I told the truth exactly as it happened. No drama, no exaggeration, just facts and the quiet weight of experience. When the verdict came back guilty on every count, it didn't feel like joy. It felt like gravity restoring balance. But here's the part people argue about. The part that makes comments explode. After the prison sentence, after the headlines faded, I sued. Civil court, assets seized, pension gone. Every benefit earned through abuse stripped away and redirected to legal aid for people who'd never get a microphone otherwise. Some folks called it revenge. Others called it justice. I call it consequence. Today, I'm back at work. Same courtroom, same bench, different energy. People sit up straighter now. They listen. That scar on my temple, I don't hide it. It reminds me that power doesn't come from a badge or a gun or a title. It comes from refusing to disappear when someone decides you're convenient to erase. So here's my question to you. Was it right to take everything from them, or should the prison sentence have been enough? Where do we draw the line between justice and vengeance, and how many stories like this never get told because the person didn't survive to tell them? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where you stand.